Hello, Rocco. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm waiting on one more commissioner here. We'll give it another couple minutes and get started. We do have a quorum here in the room, and I see that Commissioner Blasi is on Zoom. So we have 4 out of 5 commissioners. So
Great.
Hey, Bo, it's Rocco. Can you hear me?
I've got you good, Rocco. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I have 6:34 PM and I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have one more commissioner arriving shortly. And we do have a quorum as it is. Just to confirm the tech check, do I have good connectivity with everyone on Zoom?
Sounds good.
Great, thank you.
I can hear you.
Hello? Do, make a motion?
First up, we have our consent agenda. It's the meeting minutes from May 14th.
I make a motion to adopt it as it is. Does that work? What am I supposed to say? I did that right?
Okay.
Okay. Here she is.
I did just call the meeting to order and we're on to our first item, which is the consent agenda.
Yeah.
I move to accept the agenda as it's written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Okay, do we have any public input this evening? Don't think so.
I think we have the
Oh,
meeting
deletions,
minutes.
excuse me. No, corrections to the agenda. That's what we just did, right?
Yeah, we did skip over additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda.
Okay. Oh, all right. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda that we've approved?
No.
No, okay. All right, public input.
I'm not seeing any on Zoom or here in the room.
Okay. Next item is reports. Commissioners have any reports?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
Nothing.
Commissioner Bazey,
Did we approve the minutes?
it's not listed.
It's listed under
Oh, it is
3.
consent agenda, excuse me. That's what it is, yeah. Do we have any corrections to those, though? We could go back.
Move approval.
A second.
Are we repeating?
Yeah, we can just go ahead and redo it in order, no problem.
Okay. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes and the consent agenda?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Staff reports, please.
We do have a staff report from Baseline Engineering, but it should be part of the public hearing and part of business item 7A.
Okay. All right. Although our public hearing is next up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at whatever time it is. Thank you.
Are you waiting for me? I'm just not, I don't want to.
Yes, I think we're waiting for your presentation.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. Okay. So Bo, if you, I have a presentation. If you want to stop sharing, I can share it and then we can get us moving forward. Sorry about that delay.
You should be good to share.
Okay. All right. All right. Is that working on your side? See the cover sheet, Town of Green Mountain Falls logo?
Yep.
We
Yes.
see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so good evening. I'm Julie Esterl. I'm a principal planner at Baseline Corporation. Trying to get this going here. Our offices are located in Golden, Colorado. Tonight I'm presenting a variance to the front setback property at 10565 Foster Avenue. The request is the approval of a variance to encroach 15 feet into the front setback to allow the reconstruction of the existing stairs and the construction of a new deck at 10565 Foster Avenue. Background on the project: the applicant and property owner is Don Hayes. As I mentioned, property address 10565 Foster Avenue. The existing zoning is R1, low density residential. The existing land use is one single family residence, which is a permitted use. There is an already existing approved easement agreement, which is 12 feet by 46 feet. That is an easement agreement for the property owner to occupy that portion of the right of way. That was approved by the town board on December 10th, 2023. And there is an approved grading and erosion control plan that was submitted by the applicant and approved by the town engineer on May 7th, 2024. Here is the location map showing the location of the property. Its access is on Foster Avenue and it lies between Foster and Howard Street. The previous easement is shown here. The front property line is shown in that turquoise or bluish color. And then the existing stairs are shown kind of crossing that front property line in the existing house on the lot behind the property line. So that easement exhibit shows that yellow area, which is at that 12 by 46, it's actually 46.22 foot approved access or use easement in the right of way. Then next to that is the proposed plan that the property owner and applicant are requesting. Again, you can see the front property line and the area back from the property line towards the house is the front setback. So the existing stairs already exist in that front setback, and they're proposing to reconstruct those stairs that are already existing and also construct a new deck, which would take up the entire front setback and also encroach into the right of way a couple of feet. So in front of the property line towards the street, that is the approved easement. Behind the property line towards the house, that's the variance to the front setback that we're discussing tonight. Here's a street view of the property with the existing stairs that have become kind of unsafe. And there are 2 trees in the front yard. There is a plan from the architect that will, the deck will go around. Neither of these trees will be removed. The deck will go around one of them and be located in front of the other one. Here's that plan showing the location of the tree kind of inside. That's going to be a cutout for that tree. Deck will be built around it. This is what was proposed. This is a concept plan. This hasn't gone to building review yet. That will happen if they receive their variance approval tonight. So part of the review is the land use, which I mentioned before, single family home. It's permitted in the existing zoning that the property is located in. It's consistent with a comprehensive plan. Staff found a number of items that were consistent with the comprehensive plan, including that the variance will allow the applicant to maintain the existing residence in a safe manner, that the proposed variance will improve access to the residents for emergency services as well as the property owners. And staff finds that the proposed variance allows improvements to the residence's entrance that are compatible and meet expectations for quality. We did also receive and review one letter of public comment from the neighbor to the west. That property owner's property is located on the full length between Foster and Howard, and so they have a Howard address. I did exchange some emails with that gentleman. His name is Douglas Bowles, and kind of explained to him that the variance for this front yard setback is not related to any possible boundary line disputes that he may have with his neighbor. And I let him know that if he wanted to get together with his neighbors to discuss, hiring a surveyor to resolve those issues, we could assist with processing that lot line adjustment or whatever other official record might need to be prepared for that resolution of those property lines. And he seemed amenable to that. He's out of town, I believe. It doesn't look like he's appearing here online, but he did submit that letter that was included with your packet. So the findings for any land use application in Green Mountain Falls include these A, B, C, D, E, and F, which is on the next slide. These are approval criteria for every single land use application. We found that the application complies with the codes, town, state, and federal laws, complies with a comprehensive plan. It will allow for the development of safe access to the existing residents, which is in the interest of the public health, safety, and welfare. And staff finds no substantial adverse impacts associated with the proposed variance. These other two are also about natural impacts and adjacent property impacts, which we also did not find any adverse impacts. In addition to those findings, there are additional approval criteria for variance, just these three. And the staff reviewed these, the application against these criteria as well. We found no potential injury to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare to the community. The proposed variance does not impact the use of the adjacent area. The variance itself, as I mentioned, is located on the subject's, on the property owner's property. The impacted use of the right-of-way has already been approved through the easement that was approved back in December. And finally, the strict application of the front setback would result in practical difficulties, as it would prevent the applicant from repairing the existing stairs to provide safe access to the residents, and the variance relieves that difficulty. Strict conformance to the code would require either reconstruction or substantial remodeling of the residence. So in conclusion, we have a recommendation that the planning commission approve a variance of 15 feet to the front setback to allow the reconstruction of the existing stairs, the construction of a new deck at 10565 Cedar Avenue. And that is the end of my presentation. I can take questions. I believe that the property owner is available. His name is Don Hayes, as I mentioned before. If you have any questions, and he might want to give just a brief statement as well. So
I just have a quick question. I'm new to the commission. So what in this sense does variance and setback mean? Just so I have a better understanding.
sure, sure. So setback is a dimensional regulation established by the land use code, and the specific dimension of the setback, the 15 feet, is defined for specifically for this zone district R1. So what it means is that property owners should not build within that setback. Homes, there is an allowance for decks to encroach 33% into the setback. But this is an encroachment all the way up to the property line and beyond the property line. So the setback is that space that is supposed to exist free of structures between the property line back into the lot. That answer your question about setback?
Yes.
Okay, so then a variance is kind of a relief of the strict law of the ordinance for dimensional regulations. So sometimes there would be an instance where you would want to encroach 2 feet, and then you would get a 2-foot variance.
Okay. So it
this-
functions like an exception to policy?
It
Kind of.
does.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And so in this case, forgive me, I don't have the spatial training that y'all do.
Of course.
In the images you were showing, where is the property line in reference to the road, and how close to the edge of the road
Right.
are we talking about that deck coming up to? Because that's
Okay.
really the question I had.
Sure, of course. Let me share my screen again, and I'll go back to those slides. That is a really good question. So in this item here, this is the exhibit. This line here is the edge of pavement. That makes sense. So the right of way is the land that's owned by the city and is, used by the public. But the actual construction of the road is between these two lines, I believe.
Okay, so that shows the easement, but when we're talking about the proposed deck, how far away from the
Right.
road is the edge of the
Right.
proposed deck?
Right, so you kind of have to use these two pictures together. So the edge of the stairs is here, which is the same as here. And then there's, I didn't
Can you say
measure it.
Sorry, you're saying here and I'm not seeing your cursor.
Oh, you're not seeing my cursor. You can't see my
I
little
didn't
hand.
quickly, yeah, maybe I
Okay,
blinked.
sorry. Maybe, let me see if I can annotate.
There it
Okay,
is.
Yeah, I
so,
see it there. Okay.
yeah, okay. So here's the edge of road and here's the edge of stairs. Same here is the edge of stairs. And so there's this distance between here and here. I don't know what that distance is. But like I said, this easement was previously approved by the town board in December. So what we're talking about is like this setback here, which is kind of the same as here across. So, and I don't know exactly what 15 feet is here. I think this is like 2 feet from here to here, I think is about 2 feet. So portions of the structure itself are actually already encroaching into the front setback. The building was constructed in 1920, and so this would be considered a legal non-conforming use already. But the deck can't be established with the existing code without the variance and without the easement agreement.
So I see both of the pictures, but where exactly is the deck on the picture to the right? The gray
It's-
without
yeah.
the yellow?
So there's no deck on this one. If I were to draw the deck in, it would look something like this. Does that make sense?
I don't see
Here.
where you're, oh gosh, you're over there. I wanted you to draw it on the other one. Well,
So the
one
deck
of
is
'em.
the deck is this here.
The deck is this here. What?
Mhm.
The entire gray, so it's not completely rectangular, there's a little bit of an angle.
Correct.
Okay, all right, I got it then.
Yeah.
So so the deck is just extending into the easement.
Correct. About
Correct?
2
Okay.
feet. Right.
Okay, gotcha.
It
Okay, thank
extend
you.
it's from here to here, it takes up the full 15-foot setback, but only takes up 2
Right.
feet of the easement.
So what we're being asked to approve is the difference between what is already approved in the easement and that difference in the 15 feet that it should have been set back?
Well, I don't know about should have. The building should have been set back, but that's just a legal non-conforming use at this
Right,
point.
understood. I mean, these are all old houses.
Yeah. So what it's kind of hard maybe to understand because the easement is already approved, but it's kind of it's a regulation of the code that with the construction of the deck is not allowed because they want to construct the deck in the front easement here as well as 2 feet into I'm sorry, let me say that again. I'm confusing everyone, including myself. They want to construct this deck in this front setback between the house and the property line. That's the front setback. And it will also extend 2 feet into the right-of-way easement.
Okay, thank you. That helps clarify a lot.
Okay. All right, sorry for my scribble here, but I think we got it. And I can't quite hear if someone else is talking.
No, I think our
Okay.
presenter is going to go ahead then. Thank you.
Okay, yeah,
My name's Don Hayes.
Yeah.
I bought this cabin back in 2020. I've been coming up here vacationing since the mid-60s. I was 5 years old. Now I'm nearly 65. So many years. But the thing I wanted to bring up primarily was the fact that in terms of the safety and renovating the stairs, is my wife had surgery. She had bone cancer in her hip. They removed her hip. Took her 3 years to recover to where she could walk again. So she has trouble getting around, but she uses a cane. She walks fine. We've been very blessed. But that's the biggest aspect in terms of the stairs being redone, because currently they are stone, there's cracks, there's unevenness, there's all sorts of problems that she doesn't feel comfortable with, to the point where she hadn't come up here with me for the last 2 years until I get something done with those stairs. So anyway, that's really all I had to say. The unusual shape of the deck that you brought up is the fact that it's the curvature in the road. I've
Mhm.
got the deck matching the curvature of the road, and I also have it on the one side going from the east corner parallel to the fence. So I don't go, past where the corner of the cabin is. So hope that helps answer the strength.
I have a question. Are you going to replace the stone steps then down to so that building, will those be wooden steps? Is that considered part of this construction? It's in the right of way and not included in the variance, correct?
That would be a construction detail, not actual part of the variance, where the variance is actually allowing the build.
And it's allowing the build to include steps all the way out. That wasn't made, the point wasn't made.
Yeah.
It was just a deck.
The variance just allows the build to happen. It does not deal with the construction details. Because that'll have
Okay.
to go through PPR, pardon me.
No, I understand, but
Right,
we're
Bill.
still allowing construction to occur further into the right of way, which wasn't
Because-
really detailed.
Because there's an already approved easement. Yes, this variance.
Is
would
it within
allow-
the easement?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. The picture isn't up
It-
there. Okay,
It would actually allow the
Okay.
construction.
I get it. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay.
Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Any other comments?
Yeah,
from
I
the
have,
public?
I have a question just related
Yep.
to the history of the easement. I saw, and Julie, it was a good presentation. I was following the red squiggles on the line. It was all good. Just a question about the history of the easement, why that came about. And I think we have the mayor in the audience, so maybe we can get some light shed on that.
Or,
Would,
yeah.
would this be more appropriate during discussion of the planning commission? And we should close the public hearing? or-
No, this can happen during public,
Okay, fine.
but, as far as I know, it was a previously approved easement.
We were not involved with that discussion.
We were, I was.
You sure?
Mm,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think so, not in December. But I think historically, previously, there was concern, Commissioner Blasey, correct me if I'm wrong, about the CSU power block that's right there. You don't remember any of
I
that?
don't remember any
Okay,
details.
all right, Mr.
Yeah, so I
Hayes?
asked because the easement did not come before the planning commission, so we don't have any insight as to what the history is and why that was approved and why it was necessary.
I agree, that's correct. This is new. Mr. Hayes is back at the podium and would like to speak again and answer that, I guess.
I was just gonna bring up the fact that, yes, there's electrical lines and water lines running underneath, Foster Avenue. So again, another reason for the deck, strange shape in the deck is that from corner to corner, it's gonna be at least 10 foot from the road, which is a CSU requirement in case they have to do maintenance underneath the road.
And that was approved. That's.
And that was their only concern.
The trustees dealt with it, not us.
Does that help? I think,
Yeah, I think so, but we were concerned also with access to the, isn't that right, Commissioner Blasey, access to that power station, whatever it is, that's there.
Yeah, I believe there are some underground utilities. It's just we had no insights into the easement that was approved in December, and I just wanted to know what triggered that, why that was required, or why that was even submitted and approved.
Well, the fact is, it's already approved and it's really not a matter for discussion.
I disagree because the area in question in front of the property that we're discussing for the stairs and or the deck has an easement. So that didn't appear magically. I think my question is valid and still stands.
It's been approved.
So was that approved by the board in December? Is that correct?
Believe so, but I'd have to go.
Or is this one of the
up.
instances that the planning commission wasn't involved and it went through the planning consultants and happened that way possibly?
Well,
Is there a way to
I'm sure
research that?
we could if
didn't-
you're
it
right,
happened
because the fact is it's
before-
approved.
Planning
Before you guys?
consultants were there. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We were not
Okay.
involved in this.
okay, we're just curious. Yeah, it just.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about it either.
So I think during the public hearing, though, it would be nice to hear from Mr. Hayes why the application was made to begin with. And that may shed some light onto the existing project.
why we had the easement agreement, the easement contract, was to complete this project. Because without it, I couldn't have taken the stairs, redone the stairs, renovated the stairs. Because the stairs go nearly all the way to the road, which is obviously, you know, a problem with the 15-foot front yard easement.
Okay, so you were advised by the town that this was a process. The first part of the process was obtaining the easement. The second part of the process was obtaining the variance.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I do have a letter in the file that I didn't include with your packet that I can certainly forward to you from the previous planner indicating that same process, that the
Mhm.
easement would happen and then they would need to
Are
get
we
their
gonna have
variance
any discussion
and
or
their
anything, or-
grading and erosion control plan approval.
Okay, thank you.
Julie-
I'd like to move approval.
Well, we're gonna
Hang on,
close the
hang-
pub,
we gotta
we're,
close
yeah,
the
we're in the
public
public hearing right now. And it's Julia or Juliet?
So I'm Julie. Yeah,
Julie, okay,
previous
sorry, I knew I was
one
gonna
was
get it wrong.
Julia.
So
Right, no
Julie-
worries.
Julie, is there anything else that you need to share with us prior to closing the public hearing?
I have nothing
and
else,
answer
no.
your question? Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
So that's closed.
Was
Any
there
others?
anyone in the
I-
audience I can't see that
I
wanted to
don't think
speak?
so.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
Mr. Hayes and the planning commission and the mayor and the staff. Yeah, so. All right, if nobody has anything else to say, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:06. I can't quite see it. Yeah, 7:06 PM. Okay. All right, and next we'll go to our business. Discussion A is about this, the foster variance. So now we can have discussion about it further. Commissioner Esch, did you have
Yes,
comments?
I did. I remember when this was first considered. Can you hear me? And is that working?
There you go, just get it close.
Get close.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember when this first came up and it was very complicated, like so many places are in town. And as I recall, the previous planner and the trustees and legal and whoever considered all this decided that with a lot of these complicated situations, the best thing to do was to get an easement and then go forward, because there's so many tiny lots. And our aim is to help people enjoy their property. And so this is one reason this was considered legal by our attorney and so forth. That's what I recall.
So I have a question that's more just, I guess, process based, and that's judging by the discussion we're having right now, what system do we have in place to track the progress of projects as they move from one phase to the next, from one committee or group to the next? Because the easement was approved and there's no flow chart or anything showing, okay, here's the next step, so that we knew that this was part of a process that's already going on, so that all of the different groups and committees know this. Do we have a process in place for that?
We do, staff uses a spreadsheet to monitor progress on, all applications. And this is part of a bigger discussion where, the commissioners have been interested in having addresses provided to them
Mhm.
of pending applications, but there's, a debate on when to present you with that information and how to prevent, you know, the optics of prejudgment or whatnot. And I think, you know, let Becky tackle this
Mhm.
the next time she's here. I think where we left it with Baseline Engineering, they were gonna start providing us with that spreadsheet in well-placed time when
Okay,
it's-
that
when
just
it's ready
shows
for you
step
or
to step
almost
to
ready for
step and
you.
who's, okay,
Um,
so it doesn't get lost or dropped. That would be good. Thank you.
And I now move approval. Madam Chairman?
I would like to have a little more discussion. There's other information in our packet that the owners of Howard Street do not approve of the application. I thought maybe we should discuss that. Is that going to be presented? Are we going to talk about that?
That doesn't.
Or were we to have read that and that's included in
No,
our just,
yeah, I can give you a little background. Julie kind of touched on that.
right?
That came across my desk and I passed it on to Baseline Engineering for their review, and we wanted it included in the packet so that you had visuals on it.
Uh-huh.
My take on it was that dispute or potential dispute was a civil matter and it was outside the subject work area. You know, so it deals with an entirely different property line. Like we're not granting usage of a disputed area of land at all. So I thought it was a valid concern, maybe the neighbor, but I don't think this was the place to,
It's
tackle
not
that.
related to this
I
situation
don't think,
though.
yeah, I didn't
It's-
see that it was related to
it's-
this whole development or
Okay.
easement.
That's
or-
what I
The
thought.
fence line that by your neighbor is being disputed is not abutting the deck that you're building?
It's the west line.
Fantastic.
The, and the front.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally different matters. And y'all are gonna circle back with them and let them know here's the process if you want to pursue that as a separate issue.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
Hopefully they
that,
can deal with it themselves, but
exactly. I think the neighbors just need to get together and, figure that out, and whether they involve legal counsel or surveyors or whatnot is, kind of up to them.
Okay. Commissioner Blasey, do you have any other comments from over there on the Zoom?
Yeah, thank you. So very good points. Brandy, you asked some very good questions. I appreciate you asking those because it wasn't a clear transfer of the history of this project. And I think we can all do better about communicating where things are at in the process. So we kind of understood why there was an easement. Apparently, it was recommended by staff to do the easement and then the variance. Historically, there's been a high bar to allowing variances, exceptions to policy to the town code. Historically, the owners have had to prove a hardship. And Mr. Hayes, my heart goes out to you and your wife for what she's facing and what you're overcoming. And I hope she gets out here and gets to enjoy the property. I see two different issues with the variance request. One is for the stairway and one is for a new deck. The new deck, the proposal is to, allow an exception of policy to build a deck off of your property, which I am not in support of. I am absolutely in support of getting you safe access to your property. And so I see it as two separate issues. I see one as the stairway. I see two as the deck. My experience on the planning commission, we have not given permission to build outside of property lines for structures like that. And Julie mentioned, that the setback is supposed to be space free of structures. And so with that in mind, I would offer, a compromise that maybe the owner can find a different place on the property for the deck, but that we treat the stairs as an essential to get access to the property. And so that's my perspective, is that we amend whatever, or we consider when a motion is made to allow the rebuilding of safe stairs in the easement, but not an actual structure such as a deck. So that's where I'm coming from.
Why are you against having the deck? What problem is that going to cause?
So I believe our job is not to make sure people have enjoyment of their property, but to interpret the land use code. And that a variance, which is an exception to policy, requires a very high bar to make an exception to our land use code that we all spend a lot of time working on. Setbacks are there for a reason, and it's to preserve the space around the right of way. And so, and I cannot remember a time when the Planning Commission has approved a structure to exceed someone's property line. I don't think we would be good stewards for the town to start allowing structures to be built off of people's property.
Well, there are so many exceptions in this town, as we've already seen. You know, the roads probably were built after the houses were in some cases, and these have been here 75 or 100 years, and I just can't see being a stickler for detail when there are so many exceptions in this town, and a 2-foot extension past the property line doesn't bother me at all.
So
agree.
I think we are volunteering to interpret the land use and to stickle, and I will stickle with the best of them. Just because there are non-conforming uses and historical grandfathered uses doesn't mean we should add to the problem by allowing people to build off their property lines. I believe private property is sacred, but I also believe public property needs to be preserved. And to allow someone to build onto public property without a hardship, I don't believe it meets the intent of the code. That's me personally. The stairs are another issue, but to allow a structure onto public property, I think the burden of proof is with the landowner to prove they have a hardship. And in this case, I think they've done so with the stairs.
Okay, so what burden of proof? I'm trying to understand what it is you want. I've written a letter kind of saying, hey, here's why we're doing this project. And it was a lot more than just safety. It had to do with the aesthetics of the town. This place looks like, since my wife and I have been coming here since probably around 2010 with her. She looked out the kitchen from the lakeside cottages and says, looks like the forest has taken over that structure, which is my current cabin. So some people have come in since then and have renovated at least twice. So the inside of the cabin looks really nice. The outside, which the town's responsible for in terms of maintenance, looks like, 4 or 5 foot weeds growing up all around it. So part of this deck project is going to help the view of our cabin from the town. It's going to look a lot better than a bunch of weeds in front of somebody's cabin. So that was one of the
So-
issues as well.
Right. So that's a good question. And Julie presented the findings. She presented the findings that are involved with any land use application, and then the additional findings, the additional criteria. And if Julie can, or Bo can bring up that slide for the additional criteria specific to this variance, those all applied to the stairs. None of those applied to the deck.
So I would add one comment there. It's hard to tell from the photo what the access to the front door looks like at the top of the stairs. But to me, the addition of the deck would provide that additional safety for landing for somebody who, might need to rest or sit, or I don't know, have that larger space for access before entering and while exiting.
That does look like a steep approach. I have a question, and again, back to the not very good at the spatial stuff. You're asking for 2 feet over your property line for the deck. What happens if you adjust it to not going those 2 feet over? Would it still be functional and feasible?
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with the deck. I think the sticking point here is going beyond your property line. So would that be something that could be considered as a meeting point?
it could be, it would just take away the purpose of having a deck. The purpose of having a deck is to overlook the town, overlook the lake and see all the beauty in the town. And when you take that away and you back it off, then, I might have room for a small table and a couple of folding chairs or something. But I guess I just don't understand. Y'all don't approve setbacks? Is that the issue here ever?
We've done it before. I don't see the problem.
I'm struggling with, anyway, okay.
Yeah, I think, Ann, you'd have to show me where we approve someone to build off their property line.
Well, I don't know. I've gone to the meetings for a heck of a long years, and I know that our mission has been to try as much as we can without bothering neighbors to let people enjoy their property. And so I just feel like we need to, a variance is a variance. And then we shouldn't cramp them so they can't enjoy their property. It's not going to hurt anybody.
So it's not enjoying their property. It's encroaching on the town property.
But the utilities are there too, so it's not, that road is never going to get wider.
And that's
And I
what-
think
yeah.
you're mixing apples and oranges. I think Brandy brings up a good point to try to have a compromise where any construction is within the confines of the property in question and not over the property line.
And I'm going to just speak up. I think I agree with you also, Commissioner Blasey. I think we've approved variances where there was already a structure there, but not a new design and a new build. Isn't that correct? I mean, I think there were 2 decks they were built years and years ago that were falling apart last year there was a variance because they had to be repaired, but they were the exact footprint. We've talked about that many times. I have concern also about the deck as you do, but also because this is a pretty busy street. It's very awkward. This lot is super tiny. There's not room behind it really. And it kind of isn't deckable because it's so teeny. There isn't any space, but it is a busy road. I think if we allow, as you say, new builds, new construction into getting closer and closer to that, into the right of way, which we are, I think there's more danger because that is kind of a busy street right there. So, especially when U-Pass is closed, it's a cut through for traffic. So, when we've had flooding and things before. So anyway, Mr. Hayes coming back.
So the current proposed deck from corner to corner is 10 feet back from the road. This land is also on a complete hill. You can't use the land, you can't do anything with the land. So I just want to bring that up, that I'm not really crowding the road. I'm still 10 foot away. from it. So
Okay. And our emergency vehicles and things like that to get through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that wide there. I think we've had people park there a lot and then there's, you can get around them. So there's like 2 car widths or something. It's not super wide.
Yes, and I'm one of them that has to park there.
Uh-huh, yeah,
And I-
because you don't
what I
have
do
a,
is pull as
you don't
far
have a
up
driveway,
as I can.
yeah.
But I think part of what we're missing also is that the easement that abuts the road is already approved. So
Yes.
we're not really discussing that part,
No, you're
because that's
just-
already been approved.
Yeah. you're
It's
talking
just
about a couple of
whether,
feet.
whether we're going to allow him to exceed his property line into that easement for his build.
How wide is the proposed deck?
It's 8 feet on one side by 12 feet on the other. It's got a little, it's got a wedge shape. I'm looking at the chart. And then the length is 39 feet?
I think it's 34.
34?
It's
Okay. let me get my
corner of
glasses.
cabin to corner of
Yeah,
cabin. I believe it's
34 feet.
34.
Yeah, it's,
And the deep.
so it's
the
8,
depth?
the depth is 8 feet on one side and 12 on the other.
So it's already asymmetrical. What if you kept it at, it looks like one side's 10 inches and feet and one side's 14 feet. What if you kept it at 10 feet across?
No, it's 12 feet, so it'd be
I'm
6 by 10.
looking
Oh, here?
proposed
Yeah,
deck,
this,
10 and 4.
mine says,
All of them.
One of the ones I'm looking at.
Right.
mine says 8, I'm sorry, so it's 14, okay.
It's gonna have to be 8 foot on the west side because that allows 10 foot for the CSU
Mhm.
underground
I think
line.
that's what that 10 is about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And then on the other
That's
side,
8 and that's 12.
probably gonna be 14 foot, which as long as I leave that 10 foot on the east side.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big deck.
Hmm.
Not too teeny. It's larger than mine. Um. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Is there any further discussion from any commissioners? You can sit. Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
So I see that there's 3 choices in the summary, that baseline. Different actions: move to approve with or without conditions, move to deny, or move to continue. So those are the 3 motions. Other than just moving to approve. And so I'm just gonna tell you right now, if anyone moves to approve without conditions, I'm going to vote no.
I move to
And so-
approve.
Well, excuse me, I have the
Oh, I thought-
floor.
let him
It's
finish,
not,
let
it's
him finish.
not,
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry.
not open to motion. I have the floor. Right now, I would vote no, just because the deck encroaches across the property line. And so I wonder if the property owner would like us to continue to a future meeting and propose and submit a smaller footprint that would be within the confines of the land. So that's a question I have for the property owner as a compromise, to go back and submit something a little bit smaller that stays within the footprint of your land.
Okay, the only thing I can respond to that is to say that front yard is a hill. It goes downhill. There's no use for it from a town perspective or anything. So I'm struggling with making changes to something that I know the town will not use, miss. I'm struggling with that. And for, I'm
I
trying to
appreciate
understand
your,
go ahead.
I appreciate your candor. It's just, you may not realize it, but this is a big ask, okay, historically, to request a variance to actually build off of your property. So that is a big ask. And so that's why I bring that up. And just to give you historical context, a variance has a pretty high bar you're asking us to make an exception to the land use code. Okay, and that's a legal, that's law in our town. You want an exception to break the law. Okay, basically, it's not, you're not gonna go to jail, but you're asking that. And so it's a pretty high bar. So I'm trying to just give you a little context in why I'm taking this so seriously. So I hope you can see things from my point of view. From your point of view, I see the erosion and grading plan. I see all the work you put into it. But what I don't see is all of the heartache that you and your wife have gone through, which is why I don't think the stairs should be an issue in this. Okay, but for me, the deck is. And so I kind of separate those two. But I hope you and I can be friends and I can come by and say hi to you sometime soon.
Yeah, I'd like that, especially for you to see the land we're talking about, which is a total slope that, again, the town won't miss. The town's not using it. It's not anywhere close to the road. I think it might change your perspective on it. Even though you say it's a big ask, I think you
Right.
might better understand that.
No, I know where
Things.
you're at. You're behind the flagpole park. I understand the property and it's come to us in the past. There's been some septic issues and utility issues. I'm familiar with it. So, and I understand your position, but I hope you understand ours too.
I do, as long as the town doesn't ever grant variances to the 15-foot and the 5 on the sides and the 10 in the back, then I understand. I have a feeling that's not the case, but if that is the case, then I understand.
Your deck is 12 foot on one end and 10 foot on the other, is that
Eight.
correct? 8.
8.
So if you cut the 2 feet off, you'd have 6 foot on one end and 10 foot on the other. All right.
Mhm.
Are you willing to consider that?
Or what about 8 foot? Or what about 8 foot all the way across and just allow that one corner? Because his house is at a catty corner to the road. If we just allowed that one corner and, kept it at, what was it, 8 feet all the way across, or,
Well,
width all the way across as a possibility.
it'd be 10 on the
Oh,
other side.
okay.
He'd still have more room over there. Yeah.
I'm discussing options. I'm not.
Yeah.
We definitely don't want to take away your deck. Those are fun and useful.
Yeah, and I think Julie brought it up earlier, but the stairs that are now about falling apart,
Mhm,
they're dangerous.
mhm.
They lead up to some concrete steps that lead up to a concrete porch that are all torn up. I don't want to say torn up. They're not easily negotiable. In other words, with somebody in a handicap situation, it makes it very difficult because it's uneven, the rocks and so forth. So that deck was going to help resolve that issue out of the front door.
Okay, can you explain how the deck will help with the movement and stability and safety of egress? Because we're already, I think, mostly in a consensus that we're gonna approve the stairs, which was the main concern for safety. So how is the deck going to help that?
Okay, can we go back to the picture? The drawings show the deck.
When the planning commission used to go and look at the property, it really helped. I've seen it for years.
The stairs, as you can see, go up 3/4 of the way, and then you've got a landing spot, and then it's smooth sailing all the way to the front door. Right now, you got to go up more steps, you got to turn sideways, you got to go up 2 more steps, you got to go to the main landing outside the front door, then you got to go up 2 more wooden steps that are just made out of, looks like somebody cut up some wood out of the forest, laid them down there, and it's not safe either.
He should have the ADA,
Does that help a little bit?
see the town.
From the deck, the stairs to the deck. From the new configuration, the steps stop right there, and then it's a solid smooth deck all the way to the front door.
Now that I'm looking at this, I'm also seeing something on the left side. Is the reason that you have that 12-foot so that you can build around the tree?
Yeah, and there's another tree right here, and I'm going short. of it. So there's a tree about right here. And I'm just going
Taking a
around.
lot of the room of his deck up too.
That's what we need to do.
Kind of weird. I wanted a nice deck on them.
Which was another issue with erosion on the other side of the lot, because there used to be two large pine trees over there that were taken down before I bought them.
Yeah, but.
Was- That's what's helped cause some of the erosion whenever it rains, hails. Whatever.
Okay, so I'm gonna suggest that we possibly entertain, asking for a compromise, possibly, plan. See how that would work, so that you could still have the deck, but not extending out past the property line. How does everybody else feel about that? Commissioner Blasey, is that what you're suggesting also?
I would support that,
Okay.
and we would still be giving a variance
Correct.
to remove the setback requirement. So we would
Mhm.
still be doing that, but not extending the deck past the physical property line.
As a new build, yeah. Does that make sense?
I'd be comfortable with that.
Would it still work for accessing the door if it's narrower?
Yeah, it would be a little tighter.
Would be
But
smaller than-
We're talking 2 feet,
Your deck would
right?
be 6 foot on one end and 10 foot on the other, right? If you took 2 feet off,
Yes,
because it's now 8 and 12.
yes.
2 feet.
And then the center area would be 6 feet at least, 7 feet. Yeah. If it was halfway, so yeah, depending on where that angle was or whatnot, yeah. So you're in agreement, I'm in agreement. Commissioner Blasey, Commissioner Fry? What would you
You
say?
need to cut off 2 feet.
Yes, to have him, to table this till our next meeting, have him rework the design, see if it can,
Why can't we just approve it with that stipulation?
We could do that.
we could do that as well.
Mhm.
True. Okay,
Can I make a motion?
yes, make a motion, please.
All right. I move to approve the application with the condition that the deck construction remain within the property lines of the property. However, the stair construction and modifications could extend out into the easement.
I'll second that motion.
And why, Rocco, are you so worried about having a 2 foot exception to our rule?
I think I've explained that I've never seen us grant anyone permission to build off their property line. I don't think that's in the spirit and keeping with our code.
Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes is coming back.
I proposed this before to previous planners, but what about if I buy the property?
What if what?
Purchase the property.
You buy the 2 foot in front of you?
I
Yeah.
wanted to buy the whole land up to the road, but said the town frowns upon that buying, land in the road.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So I
been,
think that proposal, we would have to just table the whole item for discussion. So I think we either table it and you can explore that, or we continue on with the motion and voting.
How about we do both? Or y'all do both, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly welcome to investigate any questions that you have regarding that. I don't think that's,
Well, I mean, the question is, would the town sell land to me?
right, we're not the folks to ask, I
Oh,
don't
okay,
believe.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
so. the
Well, I would
motion
like
is-
to pursue that,
Mhm.
okay,
but at the same time, I'd like for you guys to go ahead and disposition this while
Yep.
I explore going the other route and hopefully getting approval to
Yep,
purchase that
sounds
land.
good. Okay, back, so we have a motion on the floor. And you would ask Commissioner Blasey to clarify, which you did. Commissioner Esch, any questions or,
Did Mr. Hayes agree that cutting it back 2 feet was reasonable? for
he is
him
open to that, yes.
Or not?
He's open to that,
You're
yes.
Open to that,
Mhm.
all right.
All right, I think, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, I think I'll agree.
Was that
Motion
motion
passes.
seconded?
Yes, I
Mhm.
seconded it.
This one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Then that
What
goes-
is the process for somebody like Mr. Hayes to request to purchase a strip of property like that? What would be his proposed next steps for something like that?
I just send an email to myself and the town manager.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I did before and, okay, sounds good. And I just wanted to, last words before y'all conclude or whatever. Thank you very much for entertaining this project.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Yes, good luck.
Okay. All right, next,
Whoopee cushion.
there is one chair over there. There's one chair over there and I think you found it. It's usually over there. All right, 7B, staging policy. Yeah, Bo, if you can get the information out.
I'm just gonna let you know I'm gonna sign out. Thank you for your efforts tonight. And I took some notes to memorialize the condition there. I'll be putting it in the approval memo.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you,
Yep.
Julie.
Good night.
Okay, so we have reworked the construction staging policy a few times, and I think again, Commissioner Blasey, do you want to briefly rediscuss your changes again? I saw your email,
I haven't seen anything.
so I think we've,
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to, yeah, why don't we go through it? And I had 5 comments. And so maybe if you're okay with this, Chair, I could go
Yes,
through the
please.
comments.
I'd like
Okay.
for you to. Thank you.
Okay. So Bo, if you don't mind navigating for us. Section 1 looked good. I think I had a comment beginning with section 2. The last sentence.
I didn't see all that.
So I tried to provide a little rationale. My rationale was to, my proposal was to keep the stuff in red that's been struck through and eliminate what was added. And the reason being, it preserves the intent of this whole policy, which was to try to find a solution to, the problem of consistent prolonged staging at one specific area. And we were tasked by the trustees to develop this policy. And so I think it's a good thing to have a policy. I think the trustees saw the need for it. They tasked us to do this. And so it just explains why we're doing this. Yes, of course, residents understand that construction projects have inconvenience. The intent of this is not to restrict any kind of construction. It is to do it thoughtfully. And so what had happened previous to this policy was there wasn't a whole lot of thought given to rotating where the materials were staged. And so it seemed like one specific neighborhood was taking the brunt of the staging. Okay, and so that's the rationale behind keeping what was originally written and removing that what residents must understand, because the intent of this was to spread the staging. So that was my first comment. So Chair, I don't know if we want to discuss comment by comment or you want me to go through all 5.
Are these new updates? I'm
confused.
yeah, got me and confused.
So the red strike through was the original that was written. I'm proposing you keep that. And then I'm not sure where this new thing about residents have to understand, but residents already understand. And of course, the town does not support restricting construction, but that wasn't the intent of developing this policy anyway. The intent was we knew there would always be construction staging. It was to do it thoughtfully.
So just to clarify, you're saying that we should remove the red not lined through, residents must understand, et cetera. Remove that, but keep the high density prolonged will not be allowed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Good. I agree with that. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind going through these real quick, that'd be great.
Should we?
Absolutely. All right,
discuss
so
it
that's
one
the
by
first
one,
comment.
or all of
Well,
them?
we can stop it. Yes, let's discuss it when we're there.
Okay.
Do you have a
Yeah,
question?
so I have a question on this though, because high density prolonged staging will not be allowed in town right of ways outside of public works maintenance yard. That's not what we're talking about with rotating to these different areas.
Absolutely. The
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
purpose and intent of having this policy is to eliminate that issue.
So this is saying high density prolonged staging will not be allowed. Similar to what you're saying is it should, we're saying we're trying to rotate it. We don't want to
Right.
allow,
But the town right of ways are some of the areas that we're using as rotating staging, so it doesn't track. It's
So
too
the-
black and
so-
white here because you're saying none of the town right of ways can be used for this or mixed use areas outside of public works. But when we're
No.
looking at all of the sites that we're talking about for staging, some of those fall into that. So I
So
would
if you look
just,
at the first 3 words of the sentence that was struck through, the high density prolonged staging. Okay, that's really the significance.
right?
And that was the issue that this neighborhood had been facing.
So, right, so we're trying to suggest to avoid prolonged staging. And, in the same spot.
what about high density prolonged staging will be avoided in these areas by rotating blah, 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 blah. That
would-
clarifies it a little bit,
That would work.
So,
because then you're saying how you're doing it instead of just you're not.
so
It
you know
talks
what?
about what our
So,
plan
you know what,
is to
right
do.
now, all I'm doing is presenting my comments. We can wordsmith it further, but I'm giving you my comments.
Okay, did you want to move on to the next one then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, so I'm having to rotate between the markup and this, so thank
I
you.
know, it's
Um,
not,
Yeah, it looks like paragraph 3, I had a comment. section 3, the end of paragraph 1. And I didn't come up with any specific wording. But I agree that like having a conditional use permit or whatever was changed in there. I think that's a good idea. Oh, conditional use, temporary use. So I think that there should be a stipulated time frame in the temporary use, which I think there is, but I think just for my clarification, I want to make sure that's the case. And also have any kind of penalties for non-compliance. And my rationale for stipulating time frame and having penalties for non-compliance would be to motivate whoever's staging the items to provide a realistic time frame in the first place. That didn't happen with the CSU pump station for whatever reasons. But I don't think it was realistic to begin with. And what ended up happening, I think it extended 5 months over what was proposed. Out of like an 8-month window, they went over 5 months. Those are ballpark figures, but to me, if I was the project manager, I wouldn't feel like I had succeeded if that was my project and it went over that much. So I think there, I think having a temporary use is kind of a carrot for anyone who's coming in and having the stage, but I think we might also want to have a penalty for non-compliance with that so that there's a stick to go with the carrot. So that was my comment there. I think the table at the end of the document, I think we need to add Spruce Avenue and Ute Pass Ave, where there's like a triangle intersection there at the very east end of town, as well as question for the town. I believe that there was a CSU parcel under discussion that the town could use. I don't know where that's at, but if that's moving forward, that would also probably be something we would want this policy to capture.
It's still in work. We haven't received it's a revocable license from CSU yet.
Thank you for the update. And so, if we're going to do the staging policy and this sounds like a place that's going to be used, then I think it would make sense to include the dimensions and all that as well. And if we know where that is, the general area, I'd be happy to go out and measure it and add it to the table. And then the last comment I had, Trustee Bell had provided us a couple meetings ago the staging area usage status. It was kind of like a stoplight thing. It had red and yellow and green on it, and how many weeks items were staged in a certain area. I think that was a great tool, and it provides a quick reference to the decision makers. And so I would request that be added as well to our policy. And the rationale would be, without a policy to reference, just having that stoplight status really is not meaningful if it's not measured up against a policy to begin with. And so I think the two work hand in hand. You can't really have the stoplight chart without the policy. And so those were my comments. So I'll stand by.
Okay.
Commissioner Morales, do you want to
Okay.
comment?
Sure. To go back to your first one on the second paragraph of construction staging, I would propose that we rework. I'm okay with taking out that last part, the addition. As far as the high density prolonged staging, I would propose that we reword it to high density and prolonged staging will be avoided by rotating the use of staging areas.
So I'm happy to continue editing this document. I think that language is fine. And so if you're okay with me, the chair continuing editing the document, I would just ask if you could just email me the language, I will update it.
I can do that.
And then can you just put it all the same color, what our current iteration is, maybe?
I can
I know you-
try. I'm not the greatest at Word and all these
Okay.
track changes, but you know
Okay.
what? I will get a clean copy with what we're
Okay.
proposing.
Yeah,
For
get rid
next
of all the other
meeting.
junk and then,
Yeah.
yeah, we can look, that would be helpful.
Sure.
Because it looks like the copy that I printed for tonight's meeting isn't even the one that's in on the agenda. I screwed up. I thought it was the same and it wasn't.
Okay.
So that would be
Um,
great.
Yes.
Okay, so with that one, I'll email you that adjustment on the last sentence of process. I would disagree about punishing people for going over because that's going to cause construction companies to avoid our town, and we cannot afford that. It's hard enough getting them to come up the pass anyway. Where I think we have wiggle room, though, is what I would suggest is that we put in a time limit, a requirement to move. If you bust your timeline, you have to move to an alternate staging area by such and such. And, you know, that's going to be time and money on their part, but it's not a punishment. It's just, we're still following our stoplight, you know, the usage status of, we're going to send you somewhere else because you cannot stay here. You've busted your timeline in this specific staging area location.
I think that's a great idea. And again, if you want to think about it, draft up your edits and send them to me. I'll incorporate them and then we can discuss it further at our next meeting.
If I might.
Sir?
Another option would be under the temporary use permits is an increasing fee.
Ah, okay.
In other words, the temporary use permits, I believe, have a time on it. You know, from this date to this date, and we go in and the board sets the fee schedules. We'd have to reset the fee schedules to accommodate, but
Mhm.
we could have something to where if you go beyond your temporary use and you want to stay, then here's an increasing fee.
That makes sense too.
That's another
Mhm.
option.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that in the is that in the code now?
No,
Oh,
Mhm.
no, the temporary use permits are, but the actual fee schedules were approved by the board back in December, January for this year. It would take a change to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I concur with the additions that you suggested for the table.
Thank you. I think that's good. Yeah. So this will be continued. All right. Next. Thank you, Commissioner Blasi, for doing all that. Next is selecting the chair and the co-chair, which we have tabled for a few months,
Time to do
to
it.
say the least. It's June. So. What do y'all think?
I nominate Brandy for chair and Lisa for vice chair.
Well, go ahead. Okay, great.
I second it.
Are you open to doing that,
I
Commissioner Morales?
Lisa as co-chair so I can learn.
Yes, yeah, I would continue to stay as a
I'd be more comfortable with
So-
that, but yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
So you want to continue as chair? Can you do?
no,
No.
no.
Brandy's gonna
Oh.
be chair and Lisa vice chair.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because I'm currently the vice chair, so all we're gonna do is
Continue.
continue, yeah, we're gonna nominate a chair. Well, and we could, yes, and you can fill my spot with someone if you wanted to jump
No,
in.
no.
Okay.
Brandy, all Brandy has to really do is run the meeting.
Yeah.
and She knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah. Commissioner Blasi, where'd you go? Okay.
We lost them.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a
I'm
quorum.
sorry.
Oh, are
I'm
you there?
sorry. My battery was running low, so.
Oh, okay,
Did Mike nominate Brandy as chair and you
Yes.
as the vice chair?
vice chair, right.
Are you
Yeah.
both willing to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so
Sounds good to me.
may I have a motion?
I
That's
believe there
considered a
is.
motion?
I'll
He
second the motion.
nominated
motion.
it. All right, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank
Yay.
you.
Thank you. Bo, I'm gonna
Um,
need that cheat sheet.
Okay. All right, 7D is the PC comp plan proposal, which has been, Commissioner Blasey once again has reworked it after our last meeting, shortened our goals and changed our, how did we didn't change the timelines. You know what? Yeah.
You gave me a copy of this.
Yes, I brought, yes, so that was to be circulated. You know, I left town, so I don't know. I sent it to you as I was flying out. And then we were gonna
Isn't that
recirculate it
this
to
one?
everybody. It is not that one. That's why I emailed it. I just emailed it to you before the meeting because I realized you had the wrong one.
Oh, you did. Sorry about that.
Could you open your email and just show that, or you
Um,
can't without it being on the agenda?
This machine doesn't bring up my email. It's not
Oh.
connected.
Shoot, okay.
I can.
I do have the
here it
printout of the
is.
timeline. Oh, you have a copy?
I have a copy of the one that you did 2 weeks ago, you know,
can just
10
put
days
that there,
ago.
I can just
Yeah,
look at
we've got 2 copies
Rocco,
here.
if you have it, I can let you screen share if you want to put that up. We can
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
no
Well,
worries.
no, I mean, I'm traveling. I just have a hard copy of what
have
I
it.
sent to the chair. Did the rest of the commissioners see that
Not that I really.
with the updated timeline?
Oh,
Yes.
The mayor's gonna make copies right now. Yes, please. That would be
Fair.
very helpful.
Just do that. I made 2, yeah. I just think we need to, do we need to adjust the timeline a bit? I thought this was gonna go to the other commissioners as well in my absence, you know,
Is there a
the
big
last 2
difference?
weeks. To try to send it on, but anyway, apparently not. It didn't. We simplified it a little bit.
Mhm.
And then,
don't
and we
have
all
one
agreed
of
on
the-
that. No, all the other pages are the same.
This is the old first page.
Yes. And so, see, we just simplified it. We took out goal 4. We took out the words aligning effort with goals, just made it simpler. We're just gonna reconstruct the vision. So we all agreed on those changes,
Mhm.
and then Commissioner Blasey updated it for us. And then, the only thing is that our timelines are gonna change a little bit, because we all decided that we didn't want to have this done in the next 2 months.
No.
So, I think except for the May 31st, that was my only other thing.
Todd.
Thank you so
I've-
much.
Yeah, I've got one thing. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. So I think it looks good, ready to go. We just need to update dates. And the next board meeting is 2nd of July, I believe, or something like that. Yeah. So then it won't be this.
I thought we
You
had,
don't want this.
okay.
So
July 2nd is us or the?
No, that's gonna be
trustees?
the trustees.
Trustees.
Okay, so just,
So recommendation to BOT will be
on to
July 2nd at the next meeting. And then, PC to create, refine, review templates prior to distribution to committee chairs and members. So we were gonna kind of work about a plan. Guess he's still there, yeah, in the corner now.
Okay,
Work about a plan of how we were going to involve the other committees.
I move that we accept the comprehensive plan update proposal as currently written with the adjustment from May 31st to 2nd of July for the BOT review.
I'll second.
So, yeah, so just quick discussion. I don't disagree with that, Brandy. Just the next planning commission meeting will be a week after the Board of Trustees in July, right? Would that be the
Mhm.
9th of July?
Correct.
Mhm.
And then I think if we're going to be doing a lot of this work in July, is anyone not open to having a second meeting in July, 2 weeks after that? Would it be the 23rd? Just to have it as a placeholder so that we have a couple of meetings to make sure that we've got our templates. And then we can actually start that next part of the process, which is the visioning. So I understand there's a motion on the floor. I get it. I'm just providing this as further discussion.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm not excited about it, but I can add it to my list of things to do. So. But we don't need to put that on this form, correct? Commissioner Blasey, we don't need to do
Because
that,
it has mid-July and then July, August for PC visioning.
correct?
But based on some of the templates that trustee Bell provided and what we've had,
Mhm.
I think I can, my goal will be for that July 9th meeting to have a lot of the templates in the packet, so we'll all have a chance to look at them before the meeting. We can refine them at the meeting, and then maybe actually begin some of the work on the visioning on the 9th. So maybe we don't need the 23rd, but might be best just to have that as a placeholder. And so I will second Brandy's motion about changing the date for the BOT.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Through that, oh my gosh, where's my agenda again?
And just, I guess, question for clarification to the chair. I guess our new chair, right? Are you chair at this point now, Brandy?
We'll let her close out. this-
Yes, what's your
this time,
question?
So I could be
What's your
trained.
clarification question?
Yeah, so this would be for Bo. Bo, do you want me to update that May date for the Board of Trustees to July 2nd and then send that to you?
That would be good. It's possible that there will be a meeting ahead of that for the town audit. But it would be a short, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm getting signaled to go with July 2nd.
So how about if I just line this out? I wrote July 2nd, there you go. And then I sent you this in an email tonight. So all you have to do, and is it in a Word form? Yeah,
Should be.
I can
I
be,
have
yeah,
it
it
in a
should be
Word
in a Word
document.
form.
I could just retype it real quick.
Just change it to.
Okay.
I can
either
send
way.
it, and
Either
the
way.
date on there is actually a no later than date, a proposal, and so
Perfect.
if the trustees can get to it sooner, great. If not, we'd like a decision on July 2nd.
Mhm.
All right. Is there any correspondence?
I don't have any.
And you have any other staff information to come? I don't think so. You said there were 2 times you were going to report, but, okay. All right. And discussion items additionally, anybody have anything? All right. We're going to adjourn and we'll see you in a month. 8:08.
Okay. So I will.
Good night, thank you.
You're going to do 2.
Good night, Rocco.
Thank you.
I'll send this to Rocco. Yeah, I need to cheat sheet. Do you have that? I have a little bit.